You ever get that feeling, watching American politics, that you're just watching a performance? That behind all the noise and the anger, it's all just a show? Well, the source material we're digging into today says you're probably right. The reason it feels that way is because the United States was designed to be something much more than a democracy, and we've completely forgotten what that other part was.
Yeah, this quote it hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? The whole argument here is that our politics, it's not about we the people governing together. Not anymore. It has become pure theater, and it's staged for a tiny group of insiders, while the rest of us, we're just supposed to sit in the audience and clap. So the big question is, how did we even get here? Well, the source we're looking at has this fantastic metaphor. It calls our system a televised pageant. You've got these two main factions called the Party of Actors, and their job isn't what you might think. They're not there to represent you, the sovereign citizen, the person who's supposed to have the final say. Nope, they're just fighting over who gets to wear the crown. And this really gets at a deeper, kind of cynical truth. Behind the curtain, when the cameras are off, both sides are basically on the same team. Their number one goal isn't serving the public. It's holding on to this centralized power they siphoned away from the people a long, long time ago. All that fighting you see on TV, it's just part of the performance.
Okay, so this is the real mystery we need to solve. The founders were obsessed with the idea of a republic. That's the word they used over and over. If that's what they built, what they gave us, where in the world did it go? Let's dig in and find out.
All right, here's the main idea from our source, and it's a big one. The United States wasn't just designed to be a democracy. It was designed to be a democratic republic. Two parts. And we've held on tight to the democracy part, right? The voting, the constant arguments, the political parties. But the republic part? We've pretty much forgotten it even exists. And according to this analysis, that forgotten part is where the real citizen power was meant to live. To really get what we've lost, you have to go back to the beginning. There were these two huge, competing ideas rattling around in the founders' heads. The first one is called classical republicanism. Now, what on earth is that? Basically, think ancient Greece and Rome. It's this idea that your number one job as a citizen is to look out for the community as a whole, the common good, even if it means putting your own individual wants on the back burner. And this is where you can really see the pull between two different worlds. On one side, you've got that community-first idea, but on the other, you have Enlightenment liberalism. And that was all about the individual, your natural rights, your personal freedoms, and the idea that a government's only job is to protect those things. The real magic of the American experiment was trying to balance these two. But as we're about to see, that balance is long gone. So how did we lose it? How did that balance just evaporate? Well, this wasn't some dusty philosophical debate in a book. This tension exploded into the real world almost immediately, and it kicked off this long, slow process of power being drained away from regular people and funneled straight into the hands of political parties. Okay, let's talk about the first big stress test for this new country. To pay off its war debts, the new federal government, led by Alexander Hamilton, slapped a national tax on whiskey. Now, for the farmers out on the western frontier, this was a massive deal. Whiskey wasn't just a luxury drink. For them, it was basically currency. It was their economy. This tax threatened their entire way of life. But here is the most crucial part, how the rebels saw this. Many of these guys were veterans of the Revolutionary War. So when they see a powerful, faraway government imposing a heavy tax, what does that sound like? To them, it felt exactly like King George and the British all over again. They genuinely believed they were fighting to save the soul of the revolution, not to end it. So how did the new government respond? President George Washington himself led an army of 13,000 federal troops to crush them. Now let that number sink in. 13,000. That is a bigger army than the American force that beat the British at Yorktown, the battle that won the entire war. This was a massive show of force. This was the moment the federal government decided it was going to rule over its citizens, establishing once and for all who was in charge. And the Whiskey Rebellion, well, it was just the first domino to fall. If you look at American history, you see this pattern emerge. Every single major national crisis, the Civil War, the Great Depression, the Civil Rights Movement, each one became another justification for both parties to expand federal power, pulling it away from local communities and states, piece by piece. And it's not just that the government got bigger. The parties themselves did a total 180.
I mean, look at the early Democratic Party of Andrew Jackson. Their whole brand was minimal federal government and strong states' rights. Fast forward to the 1960s, and that same party has completely flipped, championing a powerful interventionist federal government as the only way to achieve social justice.
The Republican Party is no different. It started out as the party of high protective tariffs, then became the absolute champion of free trade for decades, only to pivot right back toward protectionism in recent years. So what does this tell you? The big takeaway here is that the parties aren't loyal to a system or a philosophy. They are loyal to one thing, power, and they will change their core beliefs to get it and to keep it.
So if we can't count on the parties to defend the republic, then who will? Well, this is where the analysis gets really interesting and honestly a little hopeful. It introduces this idea of the citizen's arsenal, because it turns out the actual tools for self-governance, they never actually disappeared.
In this right here, this is the core message of hope in all this. The republic isn't gone. It's just unused. The mechanisms, the real levers of citizen power, are still there, written right into our laws and state constitutions. They're just sitting on a shelf, dusty and forgotten. We just need to remember how to use them. Let's look at a concrete example, the Citizen Initiative. It's available in nearly half the states. This is a process where you, a regular citizen, can literally write a new law, go out and get enough signatures for it, and put that law directly on the ballot for everyone to vote on. You get to completely bypass the politicians. It's direct democracy in its purest form. And that's not all that's in the arsenal. You've got recall elections, which let voters literally fire up politician in the middle of their term. You've got civil grand juries, where regular citizens are empowered to investigate their own local government for corruption. And transparency laws give you the legal right to see what your government is actually doing. These are the tools that make the citizen the boss, not the other way around.
So, after all of this, what's the ultimate takeaway? The source argues that we need to completely reframe how we see our political fights. The real battle, the one that truly matters, isn't between Democrats and Republicans. This is the heart of it all. The true struggle isn't left versus right. It's a struggle of memory. It's a fight to remember that America was founded to be a republic of self-governing people, not a kingdom of subjects ruled by a rotating cast of actors on a stage. And that, right there, is the challenge this analysis leaves us with. The tools of the republic are waiting. The question isn't whether they exist, but whether we still have the will and the memory to pick them up again. So I'll leave you with this. How will you remember?